All right, everybody. Up next, we have Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited, run by HUDs, and commentary by RPG. You want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hey, yeah, thank you very much. My name is HUD601. It's lovely to be here on the Fangame Marathon. Yeah, we're going to be running Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited. As mentioned, I have my wonderful commentator, RPG, with me. Say hi.
Time-relevant greeting, everybody.
Perfect, you nailed it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, we're running Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited. We'll talk a little bit about this game and what it is as we go through the run. I'm just going to double check everything else is ready, which it is. So, I am ready if you want to give me a countdown.
All right, well, let's get right into it. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Here we go. So, Sonic 3 Angel Island Revisited, what is it? It is a fan-made remaster of the original Sonic 3 and Knuckles for the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, depending on which part of the world you come from. It's got quite a few changes to it from the original. One of the most striking ones you may notice is it's in widescreen. But there's quite a few other quality of life changes that the developers have made. And I'll let RPG kind of go through and explain some of these for you now.
Oh, it's got a whole wealth of changes, really, in that it's got support for modded characters, which you might have noticed. Sonic's looking a little bit different on the screen at the moment, not really acting sort of the way you might expect him. You might also be able to detect a slight audio difference, in that it's got modding support for changing all the audio files. That could be the level music, all of the sound effects. You're very welcome. Among other things. It's also got options for things like later Sonic features like the drop dash, the peel out from CD. You can tweak the number of hits on the Lava Reef 2 boss, which is the best change the developers have ever made to the game.
We can also skip the time bonus, which you just saw there as well. We also have the ability to cancel our super or hyper form. And we have in-game menuing support as well, and cutscene skip support. So we can fast forward the cutscenes, which as speedrunners, honestly, is one of the best things, because how many times have we all seen the cutscenes in our various games? Yeah, we just...
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just say, essentially, we cut maybe 2-3 minutes out of the game by just being able to fast forward the bits where you do nothing.
So this is the New Game Plus Glitchless run with Amy. Amy being one of the modded characters for the game. So we have the hammer twirl to allow us to kind of partially glide through the air. We have the hammer jump where we can send Amy to space. We also have kind of just the regular hammer hit, although we only use it really in kind of two or three places in the run itself. But yeah, Hyper Amy is incredibly overpowered in this game. Just going to quickly concentrate while I sort out this boss strat, because I have a habit of missing it. There we go. Surprisingly, just doing that simple jump there is harder than people think to time correctly. But yeah, Hyper Amy is incredibly overpowered in this game. Near invincible, has ridiculous speed, ridiculous height, and it's definitely one of the most fun ways to play this game. Oh, she also has her paraglide here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on it being a very fun run. Like, regular Amy is a really genuinely quite balanced character, where her moveset gives her quite a lot of unique routing options without it being too strong. But her super and hyper form, being able to vertically yeet 2,000 feet straight into the air, is just too good to pass up.
That's definitely the best way of putting it. So yeah,
it really it gives her the best of both worlds in a lot of places, because the hammer whirl basically lets her take Tails and Knuckles paths in a lot of cases. And being able to vertically climb up most levels is a huge boost, because most top paths generally are faster.
The only interesting thing that the developer did with this is when you're Hyper Amy and in water, her hammer jump is actually kind of restricted. More so than if you're not in hyper form. It's a really... I don't know if it's a bug or if it's unintentional, if it was intentional, but it's a bit of a weird one, that. So water does tend to bring Hyper Amy back under control. But yeah, for anyone who's never played a Sonic game before, or perhaps never played anything with the super or hyper forms, the real aim here is for me to try and get 50 rings the fastest possible way to be able to turn into Hyper Amy. For some levels, like this one here, it requires me to be very careful on my ring count and to actually collect 50 rings. For other levels, we can go and get the special stage big rings, and because we technically have all of the Chaos Emeralds and the Super Emeralds, it just instantly gives us 50 rings. Hardest jump in the game coming up in a second, so I'm just going to concentrate.
Yeah, I'll let you concentrate on this one first.
There we go. Yeah.
Looks good. Nice. Much more difficult than it looks, that jump, and it skips a good 20-25 second chunk of level.
Yeah.
There's a second one coming up that's much easier.
So you can see we got 50 rings hit. Oh, that's pain.
Wow.
That's
okay,
pain.
backup time.
So
I have noticed that the spikes are a bit weird on their hitbox in Hydro City.
Yeah.
Note that I said Hydro City, that is the correct level name.
Oh, you're starting on the Hydro City thing.
I'm just saying it says Hydro City in Sonic Generations.
Okay, it's fine. We do have a backup for this jump, so normally we would need Hyper Amy to do this jump that's coming up here, but we do have a bit of a backup. Just like that.
Clean. Very nice.
15, 121, 127, 133. So I'm just doing some quick maths to figure out where this cycle's going to be. I think I'm going over it. Yeah. Nice. Cool. So yeah, normally we would get 50 rings and then transform, and for that second jump we can just use Hyper Amy's hammer twirl to actually make it across the gap. The idea being is that it's kind of like a figure 8 section, so you go down one slide, do a little bit of the level, and then come back down the other way. But if we can just skip all the way across it, we can actually skip out certain sections while still maintaining our glitchless state for the run, because we are avoiding doing glitches here.
One thing we will see in some later levels as well is, Hud's already touched on that we need to get 50 rings in order to, get Hyper and then use that to cheese through a lot of the levels. In some levels, actually managing to keep rings all the way to the end becomes a genuine concern as well, and we'll see that in places like Sando and Carnival Night 2.
Yeah, Carnival Night 2 is definitely one of the harder ones. So you can see they're one of the big rings that I just got, which enables me to instantly transform into Hyper Amy, and you can now see the difference in that hammer jump. Being able to take Tails' route there, instead of doing the longer Sonic route, very helpful.
Nice. That's a much more difficult jump than it looks as well. Marble Garden 1's one of the most probably technically challenging levels for Hyper Amy, I think, because it requires a genuinely ridiculous amount of precision to be able to get through it quickly and clean. You're making this look very easy.
Thanks. I do try. Right, and then when we get to the boss, the one thing that Hyper Amy does allow, because of that hammer jump and the fact that we basically have invincibility, pretty much every single boss in this game as Hyper Amy is just a piece of cake.
It's really cathartic.
Yeah. If you've ever been interested in learning to run a Sonic game, I would highly recommend not just Sonic 3 Air, but doing this specific run, doing Amy New Game plus Glitchless. You don't have to learn any glitches for it, it's just routing, and because of the fact you have Hyper Amy, and you technically pretty much can't die unless you get crushed, it makes it for a very, I don't want to say easy speedrun, but it's a very beginner-friendly speedrun.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't really have a particularly big history of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's not my favourite of the classics, so this was actually my first Sonic 3 Air speedrun. And just playing this and getting pretty good at it has given me enough of a knowledge base to be able to just play most of the game to a relatively decent standard. But it was a very, very good run to learn first.
The little section coming up where I need to be careful not to glitch through the floor, just on the spikes there. We're good.
Very much easier said than done as well.
How many runs have you lost to those spikes, RPG? I know I've lost a handful.
Not that many in recent times, but that's only because I start that hammer whirl very early because I'm paranoid. In days gone, several.
So a really nice thing with this game as well is that the developers have been very open and responsive to us speedrunning it. The general idea for the developers, certainly when it comes to the glitched runs, is that if it's a glitch that has been specifically introduced by the Sonic 3 Air engine, the Oxygen engine that it runs in, because this is a custom game engine. There's one thing actually I should have pointed out first. This is the original officially licensed ROM from Steam that's being run in a custom game engine. So it is fully legal and above board. You can download Sonic 3 Air for free if you want to play it. You just need to make sure you have Sonic 3 and Knuckles from Steam. It does require the Steam ROM because it has to have have certain things in specific memory locations. But yeah, the developers have been very open and on board to us speedrunning this, and generally their take has been, look, if there's a particular glitch or something that's as a result of just Sonic 3 physics, it's just the original game, then they're not going to fix it. They're not looking to necessarily completely change the vision of the original game. But if it's something that the engine itself, that Sonic 3 Air itself has introduced, then they will fix it. And they pretty much stuck true to that. There's been several glitches that the game itself have introduced where they've gone and fixed it, and other things that they've left. But there's one, the reason I mention it is just there in Marble Garden, there was one very specific glitch that actually used to crash the game with Hyper Amy by us simply going too fast. And we worked really closely with the developers of this game, with Eukaryote and the rest of the Sonic 3 Air team, to actually kind of hunt that bug down and fix it. Which we're very, very glad for, because now it means pretty much the game doesn't crash during a normal speedrun.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. And it fixed the crash in Lava Reef Zone as well.
Yeah.
That was a really smooth recovery on that little sucky thing of doom, by the way.
I was wondering if you'd noticed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a setup at the beginning of Carnival Night 1 there for the balloons. Requires very specific speed to hit them correctly. Didn't quite get the speed right on the slowdown, so I had to do a quick recovery strat.
Carnival Night 2 coming up is, I'd say, one of the more challenging levels in the run, to be honest, in terms of getting it right execution-wise.
Ring count is paramount in this level.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial.
So we're going to come down first, grab this big ring here, transform into Hyper Amy, go back up the top route, under the bumpers, up to here, hopefully get the timing right, which I did. Nice.
It does look really swag when you get the level right, though.
Oh, it does. It feels very good to run it. So while I got 50 rings at the moment, this level takes about 2.5 minutes. It is genuinely going to be quite tight on rings on this one. So, underwater section now.
We can't really make use of the hammer jump if we need it, but Amy's just incredible acceleration really just makes light work of the being underwater section.
So I'm going to try for a skip here.
Nice.
Beautiful.
In retrospect, I'm really glad actually that although the hammer jump is nerfed underwater, that the hammer whirl just works.
Same.
This section's a nightmare.
Right. So you can see we're already down to about 20 or so rings. There's actually more rings than I would normally have at this point, so I think we're going to be absolutely fine. But we'll just grab those rings there, just as some extras.
Yeah, generally those 20 that you picked up there should keep you fine to the end of the level.
All the way through to the good old favourite, Barrel of Doom. Hands up in chat if the Barrel of Doom ever caused you problems as a child playing this game, because it certainly did for me.
Raise my hand.
Raise hand.
Barrel of Doom is the reason that I never beat Sonic 3, and Sandow 2 is the reason I never beat Sonic and Knuckles, because I was not a smart child and couldn't work out the infinite slides.
You and me both. You and me both. So, very short little cutscene skip just here with Knuckles. See, we can fast forward. Need to be careful to release the button on time, otherwise it does de-transform. Because my cutscene skip button is the exact same button as it is to de-transform Hyper Amy. And obviously being under 50 rings, I wouldn't have enough to transform back, and it makes that boss near impossible.
That boss is possibly the least fun boss in the entire game for regular Amy.
So making use of our in-game menuing there, that was a burp, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, making use of the in-game menuing there to kind of skip the cutscene section, so we can actually just exit back out the main menu. Effectively, after the time bonus finishes counting down to 0, the game actually updates itself to say, right, this person, the player's in the next level now. So as soon as the time bonus hits 0 after Act 2, we can just exit back out to the main menu and just jump back into the game from the save file. So, going to do some very specific jumps here. There is a specific route for Hyper Amy, which allows us to skip sections of kind of those platform swings, if you like.
It's perhaps if you'll excuse the pun, generally quite a nice chill level for Amy after having to deal with Carnival Night.
Very true.
And you got Launch Base coming up. Launch Base with Hyper Amy is probably my favourite level of the whole run.
I'm quite fond of launch base. I'm not sure what my favourite level is to run with Hyper Amy though in this. They're all pretty good.
I think I'd probably say launch base 1. But if I had to pick a favourite level overall, probably launch base 2.
Still caught by the platform. Get off the
Do you
platform.
prefer the Sonic 3 half or the Sonic and Knuckles half? That's a question. And a question for chat as well.
That is a good question. I think for me, if we're talking specifically Hyper Amy, probably the Sonic and Knuckles half. So, Ice Cap 2 coming up. We recently changed, I say recent within the last 1 to 2 months, changed the routing that we use on this. So I'm going to be taking bottom route rather than top route, which is generally a lot more dangerous. There is a specific pit halfway through I can die in if I'm not careful, but it is faster by a few seconds.
It does look very cool as well.
Oops. There we go. Okay.
This is the part with the pit, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Perfect.
I just like that. The danger is past.
The danger has indeed passed. But yeah, that route there is around about 5-6 seconds quicker. But yeah, where I did that hammer twirl, it is literally over a bottomless pit. So if you get the timing wrong, you are basically going to die.
Yeah. That's another boss that's really cathartic to do in the New Game Plus or All Emeralds run, because it's like, if you can't Tails assist to fly up, that's a feature this game's got, by the way. If you're playing a Sonic and Tails, you have some control over Tails, and that you can kind of instruct him to like pick you up and carry you, which is a lot more helpful than it might think. If you're not invincible or don't have Tails, that boss is deceptively kind of difficult, actually. For a second then I genuinely worried you might have slope glitched.
No, I'm always very, very careful on that one. So gonna grab us a big ring here. Need to make sure I don't fall down that gap there, which I haven't, which is great. Come down here, hammer twirl this way, and through.
Textbook so far, absolutely beautiful.
And then we're gonna take Tails' route just here.
Imagine being able to take Tails' route, but just running as fast as Sonic.
Oh.
This is so clean, genuinely so clean so far. 58 cycle?
Wow, I don't think I've
Nice.
ever made that cycle, actually.
Yeah, that's the hardest cycle in the level to make, with this route so far.
And now
I mean, Knuckles isn't going to know what's hit him.
What, you're here already?
Yeah. And you got plenty of rings, so I don't think you're going to have any issues at all with the boss. This was really fast. This was genuinely an incredible launch base one to watch.
Boop. So, with the boss here, we're going to delay the first couple of hits. I want him to come down closer to me, just to there. The reason for that is every time I go to hit him, you can see he moves away. Oh, just mistimed that at the end. Dang it. Yeah, every time I hit him, he moves away, and it's allowing enough space so that that final hit, he should have just been on screen, but unfortunately, split second too early. Not a problem, though. Okay, Launch Base
Launch Base 2 is another great level.
This is one of those levels that can either go absolutely fantastically or horrifically wrong.
Yeah, indeed. And this is another one where managing your rings is, again, really, really important, because you need to make sure that you've got not only enough rings to be still be hyper by the end of the level, but you need to make sure you've still got enough rings to be hyper when you get to the third and final boss of the zone. Fortunately, there is an additional big ring that HUDs can grab if he needs it slightly later on in the level. This is a nice skip. So this route is traditionally a Tails route or a Sonic route if you're a Mad Lad and have a bubble shield, and it skips out a good maybe 30-second chunk of level. Swag jump.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Again, this has just been a textbook launch base zone. So 75 rings should be enough, because it will give HUDs just enough time to kill this boss. Nice rings.
Thanks.
And the second boss. And then still be able to be hyper for the old enlarged arms at the end.
So anyone who ever played Sonic 3 will know this specific cutscene. If you then died on big arms at the end, having to rewatch it over and over. One of the slowest and longest cutscenes. We can skip all that.
Phew.
So just gonna...
There's a particular skip coming up later that I'm really looking forward to because it's mind-blowing, really. Cutscene skip, I mean.
Oh, yes.
As long as you've got more than 50 rings here and can turn hyper, this is, I'm not going to say free, but more or less doable. Because if he picks you up and grabs you, he won't throw you out of hyper. And Hyper Amy's jump height makes it very easy to just hit him in the ceiling. He didn't stay up for very long, did he?
No, I seem to keep getting pretty bad RNG for how long he stays up, but I think I've got enough. This should be the last hit. Yeah.
Nice. Right, that's a halfway point done. Although, I mean, we always call this the halfway point, don't we? But the Sonic & Knuckles half is just the long half.
Alright, we're going to come into this hidey hole, grab ourselves a big ring, and instantly into Hyper Amy again. So this is a level which, as proven by my practice runs, can either go really, really well or really, really badly.
Yeah, if you consider this a first level, quote-unquote, for being the first level in Sonic & Knuckles, if you compare this to, say, Green Hill 1, or Emerald Hill 1, or even Angel Island 1, this level's a nightmare to speedrun. This level's genuinely really difficult. There are so many routes, there are so many small, like, slopes in the terrain, there are so many loops, there are so many spikes, there are so many vines and other obstacles. Picking a route through it is hard enough. Staying on the route you've picked isn't particularly very easy either. And it's completely different for every character.
I'm personally really happy with that. That was great.
Yeah, 54 is really good. Mushroom Hill 2, on the other hand, really straightforward, thankfully.
Yeah, so for anyone who, again, may not know, when it comes to Sonic games, generally the way that the developers and the level designers made it is that it rewards you for good platforming. That is to say, whoops, that wasn't good platforming. That is to say that top route is generally the better route to take. So by making hard jumps and by staying up high, you'll generally get faster and easier routes than going down the bottom. So yeah, we tend to take advantage of that as much as possible. So like just here, for example, we are taking what is considered top route at the beginning. And now this lovely section where the game basically plays itself.
Pulley skip?
Oh, go on then, let's try pulley skip.
One go.
We'll give it a go. Not quite. We'll give it one more. No.
Close. I think that might be the single hardest jump in the entire Amy run.
Yeah, it's doable, but incredibly hard. Like it's only just doable.
Yeah, all it really saves is the time it takes to ascend on that pulley, which is maybe 3-4 seconds.
Yeah, it's about a 3-second save.
It does look very swag if you get it though.
It basically requires almost a perfect 6-tap spin dash immediately into a perfect slope jump to get just enough height to make it all the way up where the pulley is to the top section.
Yeah, and even when you get it right, it doesn't look like you'll make it. You look like you're about to start descending, and then you just sort of whoop and appear on top.
Okay, flying
like
battery...
a Crush Death Simulator zone.
Oh no.
Although I will say, actually, as a genuine, I'm going to call it a feature, you know all the silly crusher blocks that are magnetised to the ceiling that will kill you if you so much as stand near them in the original? Yeah. They're fixed in this version.
App description.
Yeah, generally speaking, now that will just damage you, and the world is a better place for it.
So this is another level where ring count is paramount at the beginning, because we should have 50 rings here in the aptly named Room of Doom, which means I can transform, and it makes this room far more tolerable. As in,
very much so.
That was the Room of Doom.
Being able to just not do it does indeed make it tolerable.
That room is notorious for killing runs when you don't have things like hyper aiming.
So is this corridor as well.
We're going to take the mid path here.
The biggest issue with this level, and this zone in particular, really, is those crushers that, like these ones right here, that magnetize, that go up and down and just fall on you and kill you. They are, I believe, global cycled. Right. So wherever you are in the level is based on, where they are is based on the timer. And that obviously translates over into Act 2 as well. The problem with that is, they're also camera cycled in that they default to the bottom, but if they're supposed to be up when you arrive to them, they'll yeet straight into the air really quickly. If they're then supposed to actually be like at the end of their cycle and coming down, they immediately slam down on you. Mr. Tickles here is a hard boss.
Mr. Tickles is a very hard boss. I can even do it no hands these days, though. That's just how good I've become.
Wow.
Incredible. Incredible.
What a gargantuan flex. I mean, let's be real, the Act 2 boss isn't much more engaging than that either.
No. I mean, it's like I said at the beginning, none of the bosses in a New Game Plus run are difficult if you have hyper aiming. When you don't have hyper aiming, if you make a mistake during the level, where you can be in huge trouble.
I mean, I would say the Death Egg 2 boss would take issue with your statement, really, but...
I mean, it is kind of a prerequisite that I die to the final boss, so, yeah.
Look forward to that.
Look forward to that. Coming up later. More at 10. Okay, so once again, taking a very specific path here. We'll transform now just to be safe. Can I spin dash the right way, please? Thank you.
No, you definitely spin dash right first on purpose there for RNG manipulation. That was all it was.
It's all about the subpixels. We're just manipulating subpixels.
This is another level where ring count's actually really genuinely important as well, because there are quite a few sections where you are forced to do nothing but stand around and wait. And the level itself doesn't have a huge amount of rings in it. So you need to be very, very careful with that. The level is long, like 2 minutes 15, I think. It sounds about a good time for this level. But a fair chunk of that is auto-scroller.
Also, hello, Spider
Actually,
Steve.
is it 2:45? Hi, Spider Steve.
Spider Steve, our hero.
Actually, I think it might be 2:45, isn't it? And I've gotten too used to DA Garden.
Yeah, you have. So yeah, talking about fan games and ROM hacks, some of you may have heard of this before, you may not have. There was a very famous Sonic 3 ROM hack. I think it was 2016 it came out, I want to say, or 2015, I might be wrong. Made by a lovely fella called DA Garden, and the ROM hack itself is called DA Garden Edition. So Sonic 3 DA Garden Edition got ported over to Sonic 3 Air about a year and a half ago, I think, by Thorn. And so it's basically this game, but all brand new levels, completely new level design. And RPG's been one of the first speedrunners actually kind of rooting it out and figuring out the level. So while Sonic 3 Air is itself a fan game, a fan-made remaster, if you want to go full fan game on this, you can download the DA Garden edition of this for free. And at that point, you have all brand new levels, all fan-made levels alongside a fan-made game, which is pretty cool.
And if you really want to super better it, get new sound effects, get new music, get a modded character, and do a modded character in modded levels in a modded game run.
Just as Yuji Naka intended.
Exactly.
So here with the Hangmobile, we're just going to wait until he gets here, and then I'm just going to walk into him.
Silly Robotnik.
He tries. Bless him, he tries. It never works.
He really does. So you have a long and steeped history with this next zone, don't you, Huds?
Yeah.
Would you say that you're quite fond of it, perhaps?
Maybe. So this is Sandopolis Act 1.
You want to elaborate as to why this particular act is so special to you, Huds, and what significance it holds for you?
Oh god. Okay, so yeah, Sandopolis Act 1. The first time, it's almost a year since I became a speedrunner and a streamer. My 1 year anniversary will be on the 29th of this month. And, oh, that's really bad.
Just drop down and take the backup route.
Yeah.
You're hyper already, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. I pressed jump and she didn't jump. Quite one. It's good in here. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, when I first started learning to speedrun this game, I had a bit of an issue with Sando 1. I just fell down again. That's really bad. We're taking the really wrong route. It's fine. I should probably stop.
Oh, we're back on path now.
It's probably a sign that I should stop talking.
No, actually, yeah, you're right. This is still the really, really wrong route, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, this is the really wrong route. Okay, so yeah, Sando 1. When I first started to learn speedrunning, I had some issues with Sando 1, mainly along the lines of I was really, really bad at it. And I think it was one of my first ever speedruns. It took me, although we've since gone back and found out that it's a lie, but it doesn't matter. It took me 8 attempts to actually complete Sando 1 and get past this level. And in doing so, it kind of became a bit of a meme in my chat. And amongst my community that I was building at the time. That meme then got turned into what's become known as the Sando 8, which is a meme run that has its own official board. Run Sandopolis Act 1 8 times in a row as fast as possible. That then got turned into the Sando 100, which I'm sure you guys can probably guess. Run Sandopolis Act 1 100 times in a row. Which takes about 4 hours depending on character choice. Oh, I have no rings. Ring count.
Nope, that's true. I'm glad you noticed, because I didn't.
I nearly didn't notice that. And it's soon, in under a couple of weeks, going to turn into the Sando 601, also known as the 24 Hours of Sando, which I will be running. Suffice to say, I have an interesting history with Sandopolis Act 1. And it almost always screws me over at some point during a run. Because that was the really wrong way of doing it.
It's a really good job that it was Sando 1 you screwed up, and not Sando 2, because I don't think doing Sando 2 8 times would, you'd have no runners left. I don't think it's particularly controversial to say that I wouldn't be surprised to find that if it's this zone that people are not fond of, generally, or don't think highly of, or this act of the zone in particular. But on the bright side, as we'll see in a short moment or two, it's actually kind of tolerable with Hyper Amy. Like, dare I even use the F word and say that it's fun with Hyper Amy?
I would say it's fun. I find this zone fun with Hyper Amy.
Because the really tedious bad bit of the level is the part where you have to break the switch and then wait for the sand to rise and just don't get crushed, and it's really dull and it's really boring, and Hyper Amy just doesn't care.
Yeah, we don't do
and thus suddenly the level becomes fun again.
Whoops. Yeah, we still got to push some of the switches, but in air the switches move faster. We don't have to worry about any of the sand though. We don't have to break any of it. We can just hammer jump our way through the level. And this is what we mean when we said earlier that the hammer jump is incredibly overpowered with Hyper Amy. The fact that you can just, well, yeet your way through the level.
Yeah, regular Amy's doesn't go high enough.
Come up through.
Oh, you're going to skip... Oh, that's the crush block. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Plus, it's kind of nice that you get to just ignore the ghosts.
Yeah, the Hyodora.
Is that their official name?
That is their official name.
I've just always thought of them as the Sando Police.
It's a Sando Police.
Indeed. Very, very challenging boss fight as well for Hyper Amy, just standing him until he's dead.
There you go, and that's Sando 2. Sando 2, very fun with Amy, very, very not fun with Sonic.
Yeah, hard agree on that front.
Right.
Even if you got Tails with you to fly up it, it's still kind of bad.
Lava Reef. This is one of these zones that can either go really well or really, really badly. So, ring count, power mount again at the beginning here. We do have some backup rings just in case. We're going to grab this lightning shield, which means we can grab all these rings nicely. These ones, and then we're going to come up the top here just to grab a few more. 50 rings, perfect. Transform, lovely. Now we have Hyper Amy. Makes the rest of the level much easier.
Yeah, very much so. Like there is a big ring a little ways into the level. that is possibly worth grabbing, but just taking those couple of seconds there to grab those rings and be invincible for this section down here is just, it's really useful. Being able to walk through obstacles.
The lava waterfalls are probably one of the trickiest bits to deal with when you're not in a super or hyper form. So, yeah, it's kind of a requirement to make sure that you have hyper Amy by a certain point just to be able to skip them all.
Yeah, I want to say the lava waterfalls are global cycles.
I think they are. Never actually checked.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Also, they're pretty much the only use of the hammer during the run.
Yep. I about to say, did you use it to climb up the wall in Marvel 2? Because I didn't see that, I don't think.
No, I didn't, actually.
No, literally that is the only place that will have been used in this run. Also, that's where the game used to crash until it got fixed in the previous patch. If you went too fast through that corridor with the rising lava, the game would just try and warp you to competition mode for some reason and just crash and hang.
Yeah. F's in the chat for competition mode warp.
Time to deal with wiggly arms.
Wiggly arms. Super hard boss fight now. Here's heat arms. We'll just kind of stand here.
This one's challenging. I wish I had the dexterity and fortitude to be able to do that on a run.
I say it's taken me countless hours of practice. Okay, so we're going to be going for IL strats here, so I'm actually going to reset from last checkpoint, which pushes me further into the level. Need to grab the 3 rings there at the beginning. Ring count is now absolutely essential. I'm going to grab these extra 3 as a backup, but effectively we only just have enough rings to get Hyper Amy exactly where I need it.
I think that's a really good example of how speedrunner terminology just sticks, because we call that IL strat, because when you start that level from an IL, you start further into the right and don't have to run to the left. It's just the strat we use in the level now, but we still call it the IL strat.
That's so true. There you go. So we get Hyper Amy at this point, and now the rest of the level is fun.
Yeah, it's pretty good now, because otherwise there are 10,000 obstacles, and it's... Lava Reef 2 in particular, I think is deceptively challenging, in that there's just so many spikes, so many flamethrowers, that trying to go fast in it is genuinely really difficult. Fortunately, it's kind of a short level. Like, in the IGT, when we get to the end, it won't be, but in terms of what you actually have to play, it's not long.
Yeah, up another section. Small little cutscene skip.
By Canoe Clays.
Now Eggman's gonna make the whole thing really, really bright, so yeah, we'll just stick those
My
on.
retinas!
Oh god! Yeah, I hope you guys are ready for some thrilling gameplay that's about to come up.
I hope you've got the shades.
Oh, I do.
Excellent.
I've even got the red ones this time, just to match. So, we're going to do this little auto-scroller section here. Extra life is for me. And make sure we don't fall or die here. That would have been an interesting timing moment if I got that one.
For reasons I think known to only Yuji Naka himself, the boss at the bottom of here has 14 hits in order to kill it, which means that it takes approximately 16 years to die. In the recent patch for Sonic 3 the latest update, you can now toggle, the boss is now set to 8 hits by default, and you can toggle it back to 14 if you're a sadist. This saves about 40 seconds off the run total. It's just really, really nice to just have. It's a really, really challenging boss, as you can see right here. Pud's doing a really, really careful strat.
Also ripped to the bit rate.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, this is thrilling gameplay, everyone. This is just as they intended. Woo! What we need now is like fireworks and party poppers. I do need to be careful though, because the last hit is coming up. There we go.
Yeah, so when you get the last hit on a boss, you automatically de-transform from Hyper. Even if you've got the Flame Shield, like Hud has got right now, the hitbox on Robotnik's big, like, lava ship thing is still active, so you will take a hit, lose the fire shield. If you're then not paying attention, you can take a hit in the lava, lose your rings, and then, die. It's not very good.
Yeah, it is actually possible to die there even after the boss is defeated.
Yep. Another small change they've made in there, actually, is they've beefed up Knuckles a bit, in that he's a little bit harder to kill, but he's still very, very manipulatable. Which, I mean, is very in character, really.
Knuckles? Manipulated?
That was really smooth. Incredible quality of life feature coming up as well. Wait for it. Wait for it. Let's just skip all this forever.
Also, rip to the Slinky.
R.I.P. Slinky, yeah.
Yeah, we can just skip all of that.
That adds up to another 30 seconds of free time save, I think.
About another 30 seconds, yeah. And then we can also now skip the beginning cutscene just here in Sky Sanctuary.
The quality of life in this game is just chef's kiss.
Okay, so
also another level where ring count is super important.
Yeah.
We've been saying that a lot in the Sonic and Knuckles half, haven't we?
It really is. The Sonic and Knuckles half is definitely less about getting big rings and more about ring count is really important, because if you don't have the right number of rings when you need them, you're in trouble. But yeah, this means we can now skip the first boss. Oops, gotta jump.
Amy, New Game Plus Amy Sky Sanctuaries are genuinely, I think, one of my favourite levels in any run.
This is the third time you said that it's your favourite.
No, well, I said Launch Face is my favourite, is my actual favourite, but this is like a really close second, I think. Just because your vertical mobility means you go, haha, level go brr, and just skip it all.
Yep, second boss skipped, and we're now already at Mecha Sonic. So we want what is technically known as bad RNG, which is exactly what we just got, because it means we can actually get more hits on him. And we want good RNG, which we got there. So that's perfect RNG for Amy. We generally refer to it as good or bad RNG in relation to a Sonic run, which is why we want bad RNG for the beginning for Amy. Because it just keeps Mecha Sonic down longer, and it means we can get more hits. Okay, here we are in Death Egg. Death Egg 1, it's another ring count level, but it's not actually quite as important. We definitely want that lightning shield, though.
Yeah, like in essence, your rings are kind of irrelevant until the last 6 or 7 seconds of actual level before the boss. But being able to basically not taking hits just means that you don't have to worry.
So the keen eye amongst you may have realised that the route I just took doesn't actually exist in the original game. It partially exists as Tails' route, and I should have fallen down there and died, but I didn't. One of the other really nice things that Eukaryote and the S3Air team have done is change some of the level layouts. Death Egg 1 being the most prominent change in the game. Most of the changes are just removing some troll spikes or troll springs and things.
Yeah.
But that bit there, they've actually opened up Tails' route for the other characters. So Sonic, Knuckles, well, not technically Knuckles, because Knuckles doesn't actually play this level. But for Tails, and obviously in this case for Amy, it means we can take that route, which is around about 30 to 40 seconds faster.
Yeah, it's a big change. Also, if you hate this boss, this is going to be really cathartic for you. This boss is horrendous to speedrun. Unless you're invincible. Then it's a joke. You get what you deserve, Red Eye.
Lovely.
Yeah, 128 is a really, really solid time for that level.
So, on to our final level now, on to Death Egg 2.
Oddly enough, ring count going to be very important here.
Funny that. It's almost like there's no more big rings in the game.
That's very true.
Okay. So, need to grab that ring box and this lightning shield. I desperately want to hold on to this lightning shield if I can.
Yeah.
Because it basically, it's the difference between rings mattering and rings not mattering.
Yeah, and you... Sorry, go ahead.
So, as you can see, the lightning shield ability, even in my hyper form, still continues, because I technically still have the shield. Which means that obviously all the rings are drawn to me, so as I'm running through this level, I don't need to worry too much about specifically collecting rings, because the lightning shield will do all the work for me. And that will ensure that I've got enough rings to get through all the way to the final boss with hyper form. So I need to
without the lightning shield, you'll have to toggle it off near the end.
Yeah. I need to have at least 50 rings by the final boss, so I can toggle it back on for the first 2 sections of it. You'll see when we get to that. Also, just gonna do
I love this skip.
This little skip here.
Yeah, that's a shortcut that in the OG games, and I suppose in the vanilla characters runs, that's Tails exclusive because only Tails can deal with that. But Amy go burr, so she can just take that route as well. Essentially, with Amy's run, if it's a Tails route based on flying up high, she can probably do it. Actually, if it's a Tails shortcut based on being able to go horizontally as well, she can probably do that as well.
Everyone say hello to Uwu Ball.
Another challenging boss.
Although, we're probably going to have to rename it now to Owo Ball because someone doesn't know how to Uwu properly.
I did Owo on purpose. It was a deliberate design decision.
It's a
I deliberately said Owo because he's got big Owo eyes and he's really cursed.
He is Uwu Ball. He goes Uwu. See, that's Uwu, not Owo.
No, but he's floating around with his little bumper going, "Oh, whoa, a hedgehog? What's this?" That's why.
I refuse to let this go. Anyway, we are on to the final boss now. 3 stages on this final boss. The first stage is the fingers. There's 3 fingers, each take 3 hits. 6 fingers for 3 hits for a total of 18 here. There is a manipulation we can do to do this in 3 cycles. I will try my best for it, although that's not the best of starts.
It is really difficult to 3 cycle with Amy.
There you go.
Nice.
Beautiful. Second stage, laser. Need 8 hits on this. We're going to bonk him on the nose. I'll try and do this. This can be done in 1 cycle. Pretty tough. Nice.
Nice.
And then finally, Eggman or Robotnik is going to try and get away with the Master Emerald. We've got 8 more hits to go. So be ready on time. I'll give you a shout out when it's going to happen.
Nice double hit.
So it's going to be on the white fade out coming up.
Nice. GG.
And that is time.
Solid run.
Nice. Not too bad at all. I'm really happy with that. On my side, I've got a 46 flat.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, not.
That did feel fast.
Yeah, not a bad one at all. I'm really happy with that. If it weren't for Sando 1, that would have been within about 45 seconds of world record.
Yeah, that was a really, really, really good run. That was a brilliant showcase of the route.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, I said it earlier in the run, Amy New Game Plus Glitchless is a surprisingly fun run to do. It's a really beginner-friendly run as well, because you have the invincibility, because Amy is so overpowered, like, if you make mistakes, it's very easy to correct them. Because it's Glitchless, you get to see the whole game as well. So yeah, really, really fun. And Sonic 3 Air as a free game. Like I said, you need to own Sonic 3 and Knuckles on Steam. You have to have the official ROM for it. But you can download Sonic 3 Air for free from sonic3air.org. It is, without a doubt, the best way to play this particular game. There's been so many improvements made by Eukaryote. And huge shout-outs, by the way, to Eukaryote and the Sonic 3 Air community for all the work they put into this. It's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, Nintendo Switch, iOS, Android. It's now even available in the web browser if you have a Chromium web browser, so Chrome or Edge or anything like that. It's available to play there as well. They've done stunning work on remastering this absolute classic game and kind of bringing it up to a more modern standard. So I'd highly recommend, if you want to play it, to go out there and get it. I just want to say a huge thank you to RPG for coming along to commentate and getting up out of bed at the crack of dawn to commentate with me. So thank you, RPG. It's very much appreciated. One of the OG...
You're more than welcome.
One of the OG Amy runners, former world record holder, and still world record holder in many categories as well. I want to give a huge shout out to the Sonic Speedrun community and to the Sonic 3 Air community. Definitely my home within speedrunning, and Sonic's what I do. And yeah, if you guys really enjoyed that in any way, or you want to come and see some more, head on over and come and watch me over at twitch.tv/HUD601. I stream fairly regularly, and yeah, as I said earlier, in 12 days time, I'm going to be running the Sando 601, which is 24 hours of Sandopolis Act 1, and hopefully it won't be quite as bad as that Sando one, because that was atrocious. You make a small mistake and it screws you over. But yeah, RPG, any shout outs or anything you'd like to say?
you kind of done all of them for me. So yeah, I'd just like to say, thank you for having me here. I've really enjoyed commentating over this run.
More than welcome. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
That's to Colin, actually.
That is to Colin. So yeah, other than that, I'll hand it back to our host, and thank you very much for having me.
All right, well, thanks HUD601 and RPG for that amazing run and that amazing commentary. It was really fun to watch, and we appreciate having y'all on. All right, and up next we have I Want a Coin Stack 1000 with a run by BV502 and Cosmoing. Give us just a second to set up, and we'll be back